MandoLessons Live. It has been a little bit of a while. It's been a little while. Got a bit of a sore throat, so can't talk as loud as I normally do, and I may run out of voice at some point and have to cut it short. But I'm excited to be back home and to do some live streaming with you all. That was a tune that I can't remember what it was called. I'm gonna look it up. I couldn't figure out what tune I was supposed to play. What tune was the tune of the week? If anyone can remember, throw it out there, and I'll play it, and we'll play it at the end of the hour. But I couldn't figure it out. So I'll tell you what this tune is. It's a Quebecois tune, and the tune is... Is that really true? Carnival Reel? Yep, Carnival Reel. Can't remember who that's from. Maybe... I used to know the Source Fiddler on that one. But, oh, Cider! Brilliant. Okay, now I'll play some Cider. But anyway, I was off in Maine for a month, teaching at Maine Fiddle Camp for 2 weeks and visiting for 2 weeks, and it's good to be back. I'm excited to hang out with y'all. This is your first time. First off, let me know in the chat. Please introduce yourself. Say hello to the lovely community that we've got here. And, yeah, I'll play a little bit of Cider, and then we'll play it at the end of the hour. There we go. There's the tune of the week. A little bit of Cider. Great old-time tune, Round Peak. I think originally from the repertoire of Tommy Jarrell, but maybe someone before him. And now, I'll catch up with the chat. Looks like we got a great bunch of folks here. We got Jeffrey, Dan, Andrew, Jim, Artistic Snack, Sherry, Nathan, Ursanos, Drop Tarn Antler, Ian, Kim, Betsy. I'm already repeating myself, I think. Great to see you all. All right, let's see if there's any. So yeah, the way these work is if you've got questions, throw them out there. I'll do my best to answer them. If you got a tune you'd like to hear, I'm happy to try to remember how it goes, but I can't always do that. But I'm happy to try. good to be back. Drop Tarn Antler has a question. Great. How do you find chop chords for popular bluegrass songs, and what are your favorite double stop options for fiddle tunes? So, I think the way to find chop chords for popular bluegrass songs is to learn. I think all you really need to do is learn the shape of the chop chord. Now, there's a couple different options. The classic big chop chord is this: 7, 5, 2, 3. And that's a big stretch for someone just getting into the mandolin. But if you work it, get your hand there, take it off, shake it out, bring it back, get it there, shake it out, bring it back. Maybe for 30 seconds every time you pick up the instrument, your hand will slowly stretch out over the weeks and months. And pretty soon, you'll have that no problem. And from there, that one shape really gives you access to every chop chord kind of chord name that you want. So this is G. You go up, G sharp, A flat, A, B flat, B. You can go that way and get different shapes. And the telltale sign of what chord you're playing is going to be this note here. So in this G chop chord, that's a G note. In this A chord, that's an A. In this B, you get the idea. Now the only other shape really is to go, rather than up and down, you're going to go across the strings. So you bring your fingers towards your head, and that makes your pinky kind of fall off, and then you stop playing the E string, and you've got a 3-string shape. 5, 2, 3, and that's a C chord. You have G, C, G, C. And then from there, you can go up and down again. D, C, C sharp, D, E, F, F sharp, G. That wasn't right. G. C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G. That's better. And by combining up and down and across and naming all those notes again with that C, still your middle finger is telling you what chord you're playing, the name of the chord. So that's a C shape, and you've got a C note there. That's a G chop, D chop. You got a D there. And then you combine those. And then the way to figure out kind of what the chord progression is to look them up. Look up chords for 9-pound hammer, chords for Will the Circle Be Unbroken, things like that. And then plug in those shapes and work on that kind of chop sound. That really kind of backbeat, snare drum, percussive sound that the mandolin has that role in bluegrass. And so that's sort of the basics into like playing that bluegrass stuff. And then it seems like you have 2 related questions. What are the double stop options for fiddle tunes, and how do you find out what drone strings go for any key? Great questions. And I have more in-depth lessons on chop chords and on this sort of double stop drone idea on my website, MandoLessons.com, in the techniques and fundamentals section. So, the quick and easy cheat sheet that I use is for any given key, your most popular keys are G, D, and A. And for those keys, you can use, for drone strings and double stops, things like that. I can think of drones and double stops a little bit related. You can use the string of the key you're in. So in G, the G string is a safe drone or double stop string. And the D string. So that comes from like building a chord. A G major chord is G, B, D, the first, third, and fifth note of the G scale. 1, 3, 5. And those 1 and 5 are very neutral notes. So whether the chord is major or minor, G major is G, B natural, and D. And the only thing that changes to make it minor is G, B flat, and D. So those G and D notes are really going to be there regardless of whether the key is major or minor. So those make for really great drone strings. So in the key of G again, You have G, and the string closer to the floor is D. In the key of D, you have your D string is a great drone string, and A is closer to the floor. So D and A strings are great drone strings. And in the key of A, same idea, A and E strings. And that'll cover most of what you're after. All right, we already have a super chat. Thank you so much, Joe, for the cough medicine fund. I appreciate that. I definitely need it because it's, yeah, I think it's not COVID, but I got some kind of flu-y thing, or I don't know exactly what, but it's sticking around. I feel pretty good now, but I just don't have a whole lot of voice left in me. So the cough medicine fund is great. Coffee also helps. A little bit of caffeine perks me up and clears the airways, you know. Hey Nathan, first time for a live, but I've been enjoying the great content. Appreciate it. Glad you can make a live stream. Awesome. Artistic Snack is also first time live streamer. Jim says, I see the oval hole is back home. The oval hole has actually been back home the whole time. The F hole is back, but there's a problem, which is there's only one E string on this thing. Maybe a little hard to see, but the F hole is back, but I actually broke 2 E strings while I was in Maine, and I only had one set of spare strings, so this thing still got it. So interesting sound to have a single string, very kind of like pretty sounding. Feels very weird under my fingers to only have one string. But yeah, I'm excited to have the F-hole Alice back in the house. We stayed in Maine for far too long and I missed it, but now we're back. Ooh, let's see. Drop Time says, could you play Cold Frosty Morning with the double stops you used in that YouTube short video? I'll do my best. I always play it a little bit different every time, but here's a little Cold Frosty Morning. So this is key of A, so I'm going to be using a lot of A and E string drones. And you'll also see me use this A and E on the G and D strings a lot. So sometimes you'll see my finger, even if the melody's here, I might go. You'll see this finger just hang out on that A and E to just kind of make for more kind of drone opportunities. So. Cold Frosty Morning. I love that tune. I've known that it's like a really classic tune. I just love it. It's the best melody ever. I never get tired of that one. Joe says, trying a bunch of prime time. I saw that message from you, Joe, on Patreon, and I agree that the math didn't quite work out, but it was a good idea, and I wish that they did offer them in like smaller packs just so you could like try one of each. Or they should put together like a variety pack, you know, like, because they make these. So Joe's talking about these Primetone, Dunlop Primetone picks. I don't know if this will. There we go. This pick here looks like a blue chip, but it's not. It's Dunlop Primetone. This is the 1.5 millimeter. And yeah, so they make a 1.5, a 1.3 in this size. They also make some teardrop shape. They also make some that are kind of a clear plastic, different material. It would be cool to have a little variety pack. Maybe they'd be open to that. Hey, Wayne, good to have you here. Betsy says, oh, okay. I probably messed that up. But Betsy, so yes, tomorrow is the patron-only live stream. It should be 2 o'clock. 2 Eastern. Wait. So the Patreon live stream is usually an hour later than this one. This always gets me a little confused. So I always set it for 11 Pacific, which is 2 p.m. Eastern, which would be 1 Central. I think that makes sense. I think I did it. I'll go back and look at the Patreon thing, but it should be 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 Pacific, 1 p.m. Central. I'm bad with, I think, yeah, and noon Mountain Time. I'm bad with time zones, so I may well be messing it up, but I think that's what's going on. Yeah, I usually do the live. Anyway, I'm confused already. But I'll look at that soon. Nathan says, longtime guitar player picking up mandolin. When picking leads, what should I focus on so I sound more like a mandolin player than a guitar player that just picked up a mandolin? Great question. I mean, I think the best way to do it, like, you've got a great benefit of starting from being a guitar player, so you can take a lot of that information over to the mandolin. So at first, you're going to sound a little bit like a guitar player playing mandolin. I think the thing to do is really like use that skill that you have from guitar to sort of accelerate your learning on the mandolin. And the more you play, the more you'll realize, like, okay, here's the strength of the mandolin. Here's sort of something I can do on mandolin that I can't do on guitar, or that sounds better than when I do it on guitar. You know, when picking leads, what I would recommend is like really stick to the melody, and then try to add in some double stops as you see fit. That's sort of a big classic sound for mandolin. But you know, it's really kind of a natural process. Anytime I try to learn a new instrument, I always approach it from my past instrument experience, and then slowly over time realize, like, okay, here are the strengths of this instrument, and here's how I'm gonna sort of approach it to really kind of get the most out of it. And the best way to do that is just play the instrument a lot. When do you change your strings? Not often enough. I feel like all the strings on my instruments are dead. Maybe it's because I've been gone for a month. It was stinking hot here while I was gone. But just kind of as needed. It can be anywhere from like 2 weeks if I'm like at a camp and it's really hot and muggy and dirty, all the way to, I don't know, 3 or 4 months if I'm playing less and it's dry and cool in the winter and things like that. How tall am I? I'm like 5'9" or 5'10". Not super tall. But maybe it's the camera angle. It's always interesting, like watching people on YouTube. It's always interesting to either like see them then in real life or like get some sort of scale sense of how tall they are. An interesting experience I had was there's a great Swedish band, Vesson, and it's it's now 2 Swedish guys, but it was 3. The guitar player has moved on to a different band, or different projects anyway. But you always watch them playing, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, these guys are great. And then they did some music, played some music with Bruce Molsky, who's like a normal sized guy, and I've met Bruce, so I know how tall he is. Um, he's not super short, but then you see all three of them together, or sorry, all four of them together, and the Swedish guys are just like towering over Bruce, who's like a normal guy. It's like, oh, these Swedish guys are all like well over 6 feet tall. So yeah, it's always interesting to get that kind of comparison. Oh, nice. Ursula says got gifted a pair of compression arthritis gloves recently. They help with hand fatigue. That's cool. I've never experimented with those. Yeah, all kind of Canadians here. Love to see it. Ooh, would I do a lesson on rawhide or is it copyrighted? My guess is it's copyrighted. I don't know who wrote it, but maybe Bill. I'm not sure. Bill Monroe. Hey, Kim says woo. You can order single strings from D'Addario. It's true. I've got more strings than I know what to do with. That's not the issue. It's more just time. I've only been back for 2 or 3 days and I've been sick the most of the time, so I haven't gotten through all the instruments and got them all tidied up. I'll play something in a little bit that I'm excited about that just came in yesterday. Raul from Madrid, welcome. Great to have you here. And Magic Cottage Arts, wonderful. Awesome. Andrew says, thanks for turning this on to the Heatons. Yeah, I don't know if they're doing one today or not. Again, I'm a little scattered, but look on YouTube for Shannon Heaton. She and her husband Matt may be doing a live stream Irish session after this at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 Pacific. Adele, good to have you here. Beautiful day in Halifax. All right, happy 60th birthday. Just catching up with the chat here. Hey, Pascal, good to see ya. Pascal and Leo. So these are some friends of mine who I was just hanging out with at Maine Fiddle Camp. Great to see you both. Welcome. So here's a good question. Pascal, I was playing earlier a tune that I haven't thought about in a long time, and I can't remember the source. Whoa. So maybe it's a Landry. I can't remember. I think the version that I have, I learned from Keith Murphy and Becky Tracy through a friend, but I have the recording somewhere. I can't remember who the source is on that one. Maybe I know it as Carnival Reel, but if you can't remember, no worries. I'll look it up later. But anyone who does not know Pascal, check out the band Genticorum, Genticorum. Amazing trio of Quebecois musicians. Some of my favorite music. Check them out because they're the best. And good to see you, Pascal and Leo. Hope to see you again soon. It was great hanging out at camp. Yes, I agree. Everyone was saying happy birthday to Adele. Steve from Arizona, good to have you here. Hey, Lewis, good to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Awesome. The Heatons will be on. So yeah, look up Shannon Heaton on YouTube after this. Matt and Shannon will be hosting a guided Irish session. That's a lot of fun. I usually tune in as well. Oh, it does sound a little Yvonne Mimoe. Yeah, it's kind of got that that sort of thing. Um, I have it on a record somewhere. I feel like the record cover is just some like dancing feet, like maybe like sort of like uh, illustrated, kind of blurry dancing feet. It's too far back in my brain. All right, so I think I've caught up here. If I missed any questions, definitely let me know, but I'll play another tune. What's it gonna be though? I'll play a tune called this popped into my head probably because Leo Jem is watching. I learned a tune from some Irish musicians, an old time tune, recently composed. Can't remember by who, once again. But it's called Leo's Lullaby. It's probably not quite bedtime, but it's a good one. There it is, a little Leo's Lullaby. That one's for Leo Jem. Tuning in. Great to have you in class, Leo. Let's see. Thank you, Magic Cottage Arts, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. And yeah, for any way that people support me is greatly appreciated. Try to put out all this stuff for free, and it's free for a reason, but definitely couldn't do it without the voluntary support of everyone, whether it's super chats or PayPal donations or patrons. There's a lot of Patreon supporters here in the tuning in today, and also for anyone who maybe has come in late, the patron-only live stream is happening tomorrow. I believe it should be 2 p.m. Eastern. There was a question about timing. I'll try to check that out afterward to make sure it's scheduled, but it is 2 p.m. for anyone watching. And yeah, it's just a place to kind of have this sort of hangout time, but just with a few less people, and you can really dive a little further in depth into some questions and kind of get into the nitty gritty in a way that I can't quite keep up with on the public live streams. So appreciate all the support. Thank you all so much. Joe says, how do you keep tunes in your head with songs that hang on the melody of the words? Any tricks? I think for me, so everybody does this a little bit differently. For me, I think the thing that really keeps tunes in my head is just playing them a lot. Like by the 100 or so time of playing through a tune, I can pretty reliably start a tune and remember the name of it and what key it's in and how it goes. And there's certain, like, especially like once I get the first, phrase of the tune under my fingers, then sort of muscle memory kicks in. And so I think the biggest thing for me is repetition. Like having it come up, like, oh, how does Leo's Lullaby go? Over and over and over again. That's the thing. Other people will like keep a little notebook, either with just the names or maybe the first couple notes of the tune written out, just to kind of jumpstart that brain process. If I did that, I probably would be able to remember even more tunes. I heard a cool one recently. Somebody keeps a note. I can't remember who it is. A friend was telling me that a friend of theirs keeps a notebook, and rather of like tunes in any sort of like genre order or alphabetical order or anything like that, they just have a page for every person they like to play tunes with. And so, if I was playing tunes with Pascal, I would have a page in my book called Pascal, and it's all the tunes that we like to play together, so that when we get to play together, I can sit down and say, oh yeah, we play this one. I really like that idea. So everybody does it a little bit differently. There's definitely things, I look for like exciting moments in the tune. So a tune I often use as an example for this is like Road to Malvern. Kind of an up-tempo, old-time tune in A. Pretty smooth. So that little part, that's sort of what keeps in my head. Sometimes I think of it with the word Road to Malvern, and that kind of cements it in my. So I use little like kind of mnemonic tricks like that. That doesn't really count as mnemonic, but you get the idea. All right, Pascal and Leo are heading out to swim. Have a good swim. Great to see you, and let's play some tunes soon. If you're ever out in Oregon, let me know. What was the name of the tune you taught at camp that the tempo kept speeding up at the camper concert? Ooh. I don't know. Oh. Wait. How do you know that you weren't? Did that get recorded? I've been off Facebook for a while now, so I haven't seen everything, but maybe it popped up. I honestly can't remember. What was the tune? Oh. I'll think about that. I honestly can't remember what it was. Wow. Okay, so I taught a tune at camp. the disconnect between real life camp and MandoLessons chat is totally blowing my mind here. Ursula says, is there any key points to strumming I should keep in mind, like the angle of attack on the strings, how tight to hold the pick, etc.? I mean, I think, so yes to all of that. I think, the thing that I always go back to is like the beginner series of just like kind of holding the instrument comfortably, because as soon as you're more comfortable with the instrument, the longer and more comfortably you're going to be able to play. So kind of like angle of attack of the strings and comfort and kind of technique are all going to benefit kind of how long you can play comfortably. And kind of the repetition is really going to help. And, I think really thinking about pick direction. So starting with an exercise, like pick up the instrument. Here's a 60-second exercise every time you pick up the instrument. Pick up the instrument, think about being nice and relaxed and having the instrument in the proper, holding the instrument properly like I talk about in the beginner series. And then with your right hand, just start down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Nice wide swings. And try to make it groovy, Down, down, like you do. That's a little monotonous. So, 90% of strumming, 99% of strumming, and kind of accompanying is really going to be that right hand. So really getting the right hand down, up, 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 down, up. And then maybe put a G chord down. And really keep that right hand going. Nice and loose. So doing that as a warm-up exercise for 60 seconds every time you pick up the instrument will really help you kind of make that a repetitive process, thinking about being relaxed, getting that right hand to do a constant down, up, down, up. All of that's going to work out in your benefit. Oh, okay, sorry. Good to see you. I didn't quite put the name together, but great to see you. It's been a while. Do you have any temperature humidity control to store your instruments? I don't. So when I lived in Maine, I did. I had a room humidifier for the winter when it got really cold and dry. But in the Pacific Northwest, it's kind of always 50, 60% humidity all year round, so I do not worry about it as much. It bottoms out in like the low 40s. It never gets that cold. It gets pretty hot, but I just like keep the windows closed when it gets really hot. The only thing I recently got this little thing, which is, I don't know if I can be able to, it's not sponsored or anything, but it's a little Wi-Fi Bluetooth humidity and temperature sensor, just so I was having kind of excess humidity in the room in a way I wasn't wild about, so I got this thing to really kind of keep tabs on it. And it's got an app where you can then look at kind of what the humidity is doing at any given amount of time. But I don't have any humidity adjusting humidifier or dehumidifier. I would like to get a dehumidifier. That could come in handy, but only it's a lot easier on instruments in the Pacific Northwest than Maine. "2 years ago, I didn't know any of these tunes. I need to rely on the music just to remind me." That's I think the other thing about me knowing a lot of tunes is I've been doing it for 23 years. And I've really kind of it's my job, it's my main hobby. I'm totally obsessed. I don't do much else. So that definitely kind of, again, the repetition. I've got 23 years of repetition under my belt. I was on Facebook. Man, I wish I could remember what that tune was. Can you remember anything about it? Major, minor, genre? Thank you, Andy, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. For the Instrument Petting Zoo String Fund. So my voice is giving out, so rather than keep talking, I'm going to pick up a different instrument and play you a little ditty on something new. This is my shiniest instrument. All right, so this is my shiniest instrument. It's pretty much a mirror. See if I can get the camera in there. So this is a, I think, 1928 National Resophonic tenor guitar, 4 strings, tuned G-D-A-E, like a octave mandolin. It's a tricone, which means there's, I don't know if I'll be able to see if I can get this in the right angle. Oh yeah, you can sort of see it in there. So normally a lot of resonator guitars just have one big resonator, but this one has one there, one there, and one there. So it's 3 little resonators. It's hard to, I don't know how well, if I move it around you can sort of see what's going on inside a little bit better. So it's 3, it's a little less common of a resonator style. Yeah, so I've been after one of these for many years and finally found one I could afford. Significance of the red font. Red front? Red font. You mean on the headstock? I don't know. I think it's just their logo. Is that, if that's what you mean. I don't know exactly what you mean, but if it's that, I have no idea. Alright. Cheesy Dish has entered the chat. I love that screen name. I'm always down for a cheesy dish. Thank you, Nathan, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Glad to do these streams and glad to make a lot of mandolin lessons. Ooh, Ursana's still talking about strumming. Says, I always feel like I'm going to send my pick flying or snap a string when I'm strumming. That and I worry about being loud, inner introvert, cringe. I hear you there. So, I mean, I think you got to work pretty hard to snap a string. Like, until I broke 2 strings at fiddle camp, I had not broken a string in, while playing, in like 8 years probably. It almost never, like, you gotta really be, and I play hard. I play harder than most people, and I still rarely break a string. I'd say, you know, try it. See if you can break a string. I dare you. Do it when no one's around. No one can hear you except for yourself. Your pick might go flying, but it might not. I think, you know, this is kind of speaking from my own experience. Like, let's see, what is, like, if you have like playing really lightly over here and really hard over here, like this is breaking strings and this is not making enough sound. Like what I did for a long time, and like maybe here's where you want to be, like nice middle ground. What I would do is like, oh, I'll play a little harder, play a little harder, play a little harder. And I never really got to that sort of comfortable middle zone because I was always sneaking up on it a little bit. And I just sort of like never got there until I was like, how loud can I make this? And just like play it really hard, see what it feels like. You know, the harder you play, the louder you'll get, but there's also like, it's not necessarily like a linear curve. It's a little bit kind of like this. Like you play a little harder and it's a lot louder, but then as you get, it's more of a tonal change at the top. You know, if I go, like this is as quiet as I can get. That's as loud as I can get. That's probably really loud through the microphones, but, you know, play around, see what your instrument can do. You won't hurt it. Like, you can really, these things are built strong, they're tough. The worst thing you're going to do is break a string. Not the end of the world. Annoying, but, you know, these things are made to withstand a lot a lot of play. You know, that's why they stick around. Like this thing's almost 100 years old. It's also made of metal, but you know, a lot of, you know, think about like violins, which are much more lightly built than mandolins, still around from the 1700s. Like they're tough. They're strong. They can take a beating. You don't want to like actively try to hurt them, but you know, you can play them hard. They like it. All right. I think at this point, let's play a little bit of cider and then pick a tune for next week. And I am about out of voice, so I'm going to go drink a cup of tea after this. But first, a little bit of cider, key of D, old time tune. I'll play the melody, you play the chords, then we'll swap. Do two of each because it's a short tune. So I'll play melody twice, you play chords twice, and then we'll switch. Go for it. Take another. I'll take it. Take it. Second time. Everybody play the melody. One more time. Melody. All right, there's a little bit of cider. So, quick, while we got a couple minutes left here, what should we play next week? I'll double check it with my list, and we'll have a good time. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you so much for the super chats and Patreon support and PayPal donations. All helps new lessons come out every single week, and new live streams happen most Saturdays or whenever I can manage at this point. But hope now it's getting towards autumn. Hoping to get back into it, be a little more regular with the live streams. And the next thing to do is go check out Shannon Heaton on YouTube. Watch her and Matt do a guided Irish session. So keep your mandolin in your hands and go for it. And let those suggestions roll in, and I'll see how they match up with my list. So don't be bashful. Or maybe if nothing comes through, I'll pick one. Let's see. We've done so many at this point, it's hard to... Cider we just did. Cold Frosty Morning, it's probably been a while. Episode 38, so it's almost 100 episodes ago. Yeah, let's do Cold Frosty Morning. Love it. Next week, Cold Frosty Morning. Best tune ever. All right, thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your weekend. Don't put the mandolin down now. Go check out Matt and Shannon Heaton. Patrons, I'll see you tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. Keep on picking. Great to see you all. Bye-bye.